Hello and welcome. Whenever I am working on a project, I like to have a to-do list of the things I want to get done in one sitting or two or whatever the case may be. As you can see here, I've been using Windows sticky notes to do this and then just striking the things off or removing them from the list as I do them. But I've decided I'd like to make my own app more tailored to doing this type of thing. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. I'm planning on doing a lot of videos and streams for the foreseeable future. So this will be featured in a lot, if not all, of the streams in the future. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to move this off screen for now, and I'll slide it back as we need it. And we're going to create a new project. To-do list. Module name. It's recommended to use lowercase, so I'll do that. And then I'm just going to add the package to here. Let's just call it classes. And then we'll add the classes into this that we need. So I'm going to have my main one, which again I'll just call to-do list. Capital L. I already have a general idea of what this is going to look like, so I know what classes I need, so I'll just add all the classes first, and then we'll work on which each one is after. So I have the to-do list class is going to hold my main method, then the app frame class is the JFrame for it. I'll also have a title bar. Is there a shortcut for new class? I'm not sure. Button bar, which will be kind of a footer, it'll go at the bottom. Let's call it button panel. And what else? We'll have an actual class for the file for the list itself, which we call it list, and then one class for each task that we add to it. So I'll make a new object basically. Right. Okay, now that we've added all of our classes that we're going to need, we can start adding some methods. So the first one I'm going to put in here is just my main method. It's the only one that will be in this class. And all it's going to do is make us a new app frame. We don't need to give it a name because we won't be referencing it again. So we'll just do new app frame. There, that's that one done. Now let's go over to our app frame class and start making a constructor for that. So let's just put in a comment here to case constructor, and we'll do app frame, and so what we're going to do in this is create a, let's put in some variables for this. So we'll have private, sorry, I forget what I'm after calling them. Oh, here, button panel, TTONPENEL. Let's just call it BTN panel. And have a private, let's put this one above it, private title panel. Title bar, I believe I call it, yeah, title, and put them in the order they'll appear. The other one is a list. So basically the page is going to be, the app is going to be split up into three things. So at the top we're going to have a title, in the middle will be the list itself, and at the bottom will be a little panel with a couple of buttons on it. And then when I create the frame, what I want to do is first let's set the size. So this needs to be a frame. So extends JFrame, and then I should tell me to import. Yeah. So now I've imported JFrame. So this set size. Let's say 400 by 700. This dot set default close operation. Yeah. Exit as JFrame dot exit on close. Okay. And let's just set visible and have a look at the size. Yeah, true. I don't know why that lies there. Okay. And let's just run that and have a look at the size of it. Okay, so there it is there. Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's work with that for now, and if I decide we need to resize it later, we can. But that's good enough for now, I think. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is start adding these into the frame. So let's do them in order. So the title bar we'll work on first. So this needs to extend a JFrame, or JPanel, sorry, not a JFrame. And then we'll have to import that. Okay, and we'll put a constructor class in here. Constructor, sorry, TITIE bar. And we want to set a preferred size to this. Set preferred size, so it's a new dimension. And we want it to be the same width as this page, but we don't want it to be as long. So let's try 50. See how that goes, and we will have to import dimension. Okay. For now, let's set a color, a background color. Background color.red. And I'm just doing this to kind of get an idea of the size. So you'll often see me setting a color on a new panel or a new area. Oh, and I haven't actually added it to the frame, so I'll need to do that first. So I'll need to go this dot add title, and it's border layout. Frames are border layout by default, which actually works for us right now, so we can use the default layout. And I'll need to import this. Cool. So let's run this and have a look at it. Okay, so this is the size it is right now. So I think I'll make it a little bit bigger, maybe 80. It's 50 now, so I'll change that to 80 and see what that's like. So, and okay, I ran it that time and nothing happened. Run again. Yeah, so here it is now. It's a bit bigger. Yeah, I think I'll leave it like that. I kind of like that size. It should work. So with that done, we can now take out this bit because we know what the size is, so we don't need that anymore. Okay, we want to have a J label in here with the title text actually written on it. So let's call it title text, I suppose. It's going to be a new J label. Quotes, sorry, to do list. I might later change this so that we can change the title to whatever we're working on at the time, but for now, let's just stick with this. Okay, and then there's a couple of things I want to do with the title text. So I want to set a font on it for sure. Set font, and it'll be sans serif. Serif, sorry, excuse me. Font dot. Let's make it bold, and we want to put it say 20, and see how that looks. And then what else we want to do with this? So we want to put a preferred size. Let's do that first. Title text dot set preferred size. New dimension. And what are we thinking? 280. Let's say is probably would do it. We actually need to, do this new font. Create a font here, and I close that again. And my spelling is all over the place. New font. Yes, there is a 2 in the word new. We need to import font. And that takes care of that. Okay, and the last thing we want to do with this is set the horizontal alignment to J label center. Okay, and finally we just add this to the title bar. Okay, let's have a look at that. Perfect. Yep, I think that'll do for now. I think the size of it and everything is fine, so that takes care of the title bar section. I might later need to add some getters in here or some functions, but for now I think that's all I need in this class. Next thing I want to work on is the button panel at the bottom. So this class is going to have 2 buttons in it, and let's just make them private variables for the class. Sorry, private J button. I'm going to have one to add a task, and I'm going to have one that will clear all the tasks I've completed. So let's just call that one clear. Okay, I need to import buttons. Okay, and now we need a constructor. So we're going to have button panel. Okay, so let's put a preferred size again. I have to always start with setting the preferred size. Did I spell something wrong? I did. 1F, 2 ORs. New dimension. And again, it's going to be the same width as before, same width as the whole app, but let's not have it as, it won't be quite as big as the title, I don't think. So let's try 60 and see how that looks. I will need to import dimension. Cool. What's wrong here? Undefined for, oh, I need to extend the correct thing. This is again a JPanel. Import JPanel. There. Okay. Now that's all I need to do to that is add the size. But let's put a color on it for now, like we did before, and just check the size in the background. Set background color dot red and import color. Okay. Wait, there's a D in red. Okay, let's run this and have a look. And I got a blank screen. So I'll make sure I'm running to-do list. There. And it didn't add because I forgot to add it to the frame. So come back to our app frame and we'll do this dot add button panel. And we make sure it's added to the south. Border layout dot south. There we go. And now we'll have a look. And there we go. Okay, so down here we'll have our two buttons. One of them will add new task, and one of them will clear away all the buttons. So that's fine. So let's go back over to our button panel and start styling these buttons. So we'll have add task. It's going to be a new J button. Sorry, J button. And on it is going to be the words. Let's put in just add task, I suppose. It's descriptive. And we want to take the border off of this. Well, you know what I'm going to do actually? I'm going to make a border object up here. Or will I? No. Will I? Yeah, let's do it. Let's put a border up here. So we're going to have a border, empty border. And that's going to be a new, no, you don't need new, right? It's just, I think it's border factory, capital B maybe? Border factory dot create, come up there, create empty border, yep. And I will need to import border. Okay, get border, no, I'm going to set border to be empty border here. Okay, so that's just going to make sure we don't have a border, obviously. And we want to set a font on this. Add task dot set font. It's going to be a new font. Sans serif. Font dot. We want this one to be plain. We don't want to be exactly like the above one. And I'd say we want to be around the same size. So let's go with 20. We need to import font here as well. Okay, and then what else do we want to do? We want to set the vertical alignment for this. Set vertical, no. Set, whoa, that did a lot. Excuse me. Boop, boop. Vertical alignment. I actually am not certain that I need that for here. So let's take that out for now. And if we need it, we'll come back. Let's just add this. This dot add task. So now that button should come up in the bottom. And we'll just run it. And just make sure I'm running the right thing. Do this. There we go. So here it is here. So there we are. We have our add task button. I'll change the background color and stuff, but I'm not too concerned about that yet. We'll deal with all the colors toward the end. So we want to do all the same stuff basically for the other button. Copy. You know what? I'm going to leave this ad up here. Sometimes I do them all and then add the stuff at the end. Other times I do it this way. So the other button is almost the exact same, but just with different. Let's see. What will it say? Clear. Finished tasks. Completed tasks. And then we want to add to this clear. Okay, let's have one more look at this. Okay, here's what we got. So we have our add task and we have our completed task. I also want to add a box in here between these to put a gap between these two places. So let's just between this go this dot add, and I want to add a box dot create horizontal horizontal strut. Let's go 20. See how that looks. I'll need to import box. There we go. Let's have a look at this again. There we go. So now we have a bit more of a pronounced gap between the two buttons, which I like. Anything else I want to do? I think I'm quite happy with that for now. Let's remove the red background from this, now that we have a size, and just have a look at the background. Yeah, okay. As far as the exact stylings and stuff are concerned, I'll change it around later. I just want to get all the things in and then get the functionality done for now. The next thing I want to add into this is just a couple of getter methods. I'm going to want to use these buttons for some functions later, and I want to access them from other classes. So I'm just going to put in two methods for returning the buttons, one for each one. We'll call this one get new task, and we're just going to have it return add task. I suppose I should call this add task. There we go. And we're going to have one for returning the clear. So get clear, and returns clear. Alright, that's that. Okay, so I just skipped ahead here a little. I've just made a constructor class for the list, and it extends JPanel as well. So this one's going to be slightly different in that we're going to use a grid layout. Let's call it layout equals new grid layout. It's going to have, let's say, 10 rows and one column. Alright, so I want it just as that. That describes it perfectly. I want 10 rows and one column. There we go. Yeah, okay. And then I was going to set, I want a gap between them as well. So I don't want things right on top of each other. So let's do layout dot set vertical gap. I think it's lowercase g. Yeah. Let's just go with 5 and see how that looks. And then what I want to do is this dot set layout to layout. Okay. And I want to set the preferred size. No, I don't. I don't need to set a preferred size because I'm going to just put it in the center. So let's go back to our app frame and do this.add list border layout center ENTER. And just so we know what's looking, let's stick a background color on this. Set background color dot blue. I don't know why I picked blue. I just did. Oh, I need to import color here. Cancel. Import color. And let's just run that now. Cool. So this is our list area, this section here in the middle. So I think that looks fine to me. So let's get rid of this blue part. So the final class we need to work on is the task itself, and the task again extends the JPanel, which I will need to import. This task probably has the most in it as far as different elements. So the task is going to have an index number, a JText field, which will be the part where we type in what the task is, and probably a series of buttons. But for now, just one. I might make an actual button. I might just make it a panel that has an mouse listener, but it's going to have at least a button for now to say that it's done. So first things first, let's make the constructor. This dot set preferred size. So I want the task width to be the full size of the screen, and I'm going to say 20 pixels. And import dimension. I'll also want to set a background color.red. Again, this is just for testing purposes. Import color. Okay. What else do I want? Oh, this is going to be a border layout. Set layout. New border layout. Okay. And I will need to import that. Basically, it's going to have a west, center, and east. It will also have a north and south, but we won't be using them. So it's going to have a boolean involved with it, and I'm just going to put these as private up here. So we're going to have a private, there's an I in private J label index. We're going to have a private J text field, which would be called, let's call it task name, capital N, name, and a private, on the right hand side is going to be our, let's make a button for now, and we'll call it done. Okay, I'll need to import all three of these. Put JLabel, text field, and button. Okay, it's also going to have a boolean associated with it, so it's going to be private boolean completed. Well, let's say checked. Yeah, we'll call it checked. By default, let's put check to false. Equals false. Okay. Index is going to be a new J label. I'm not going to put anything in here because I'm going to use a function. I'm going to add a function to the list that automatically puts our numbers into the index. So it's just going to loop through them and put numbers in accordingly. So for now, let's just leave that blank. But I do want to set a preferred size for this. New dimension. New dimension. And let's make it, let's go 20 by 20. Remember, each task is 20 blocks high, so this is 20 across 20 high. And then I want to set a horizontal text alignment, or horizontal alignment I should do, to J label, yes, dot center. Okay, and so let's add this then. This dot add index border layout dot west. Cool. Let's have a look at that. Oh, what? Nothing will come up. Nothing will appear yet because I haven't yet added any tasks to the thing. So I will get around to that. There's more things I want to put into this first though. So let's say we want to put in a text field now, right? So task name equals new J text field and your task here. Your task here. I might change the text. It's just placeholder text. Task name dot set border. I want an empty border. Border factory dot create empty border. What else? What else? What else? Let's put a background on this. Set background border.red. If I could spell, that would be great. Yeah, I'm putting this as a red. I know this is background is red, but this by default will be a white background, I think, and I won't be able to see one through the other. I'm pretty sure. I'll test that later, but I'm pretty sure I need a background color on that. And I want to add the task name to it. Task name. God, every time I'm missing the capital N. Border radius, border layout. This one is going in the center. Okay. So that's the index number, the task name, and the last thing I need to add is done, which is the J button. And it's going to say done on it, which is going to be like a basically click this when you're done, and it'll change state. Set preferred size, new dimension. I want this to be wider because I want there to be a bit of padding around the text. 2040. Oh, did I spell dimension wrong? Yes, N. N is my letter of the day. Okay, let's set a border on this. Set border. I'm going to do the same as up here. I just want to create an empty border. So let's just copy this. Copy. Paste. That should be the same. And then let's add up. Done. Border layout dot where? No, east. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I need in here as far as the layout goes. But what I need to do is add some functionality. But first, what do we want to do? Yes, okay. So what I want to do now is add some functionality into my app frame where I can use those buttons to make them do things. So I'm back in my app frame now, and I'm going to use those getter methods we made in the button panel to get some JButtons and use them to add some functionality. So we'll have the add task, and we have one for clear. So we just need to import this, and then we're going to add something this. So we'll have add task is going to be equal to button panel dot get add task, and clear is going to be which is the same. It's going to be button panel dot get clear. I forgot the capital P. There we go. So now we want a function to add listeners to those, so I'm just going to put them in a function of their own. So let's just call it add listeners. Okay, and then let's put that function in here. Public void add listeners. Why is my shift button being awkward? Listeners. Okay, it doesn't take any arguments. So, what we want to do in here basically is make it so that when we click on buttons, they're going to do things. So add task, when we click on that, is going to add a new task basically. So add mouse event new mouse adapter. Why was that being weird? This needs bracket and a semicolon. I need to import this. Import. Okay, and override. Public void mouse pressed mouse event E. And I want to import mouse event probably. Yep. Okay. I want to make a new task basically. So yeah. So task called task is equal to a new task. And then to the list, I want to add the task. And I also want to revalidate because otherwise I don't think it would appear on screen. So let's try that out. So let's run to-do list. Here it is. When I add task, we should get a red panel appearing. Yep, perfect. Perfect. I think that gap is big enough as well. It's a bit hard to read now because of the red, but that'll be fine. Obviously the red's not going to stay. Okay, so it'll just keep adding. So I'll deal with that later. But for now, it's working. I'll make it so we can only add 10 at a time. For my purposes, 10 is enough. I rarely have a list of more than 10 things I want to do. And if I do, I can always make it so that I can add 20 at a time or whatever. I'll see how often I have call to go above 10. I suspect not that often. So you might notice that as I'm adding tasks, the numbers here aren't appearing on the left hand side because although I have something here, it's just a blank space. So I want to add a function that will go through all of the tasks that are on the list and add the corresponding number on the left hand side. So that's what we're going to work on now. So in my list here, I'm just going to add a function. That's the constructor. So let's have a public. Won't have return type void, and it's just going to be called. Let's call it update numbers. Numbers. Yeah. It doesn't take any arguments, and it's going to. What it's going to do is I'm going to make a component array. Component. This might not be the best way to do this. I'm sure a lot of what I'm doing is not the best way to do this, but I'm pretty new to GUIs in Java. I had to do one for a project in school. I'm studying computer science, and it was the first time I had to do a component cannot be resolved to a type. Oh, I imported the wrong type. Sorry. So a lot of what I'm doing is definitely not best practice, but it's mostly just for fun for now. So I went to do this version. Yeah. And the way I want to do this is I'm going to make an array of all the components using the get components command, and then I'm going to loop through that array and add the right number basically. So for int I equals 0, I is less than list items dot length I plus 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 plus. And now if list items at I is an instance of the task, what I want to do is, I think I need to cast this, right? Task of the list items at I. Yeah. And what I want to do is change the index. So I'm going to put in a function into the index to change it to I plus 1. So it's going to start at 0. So if it's the first card I want 1, if it's the next card I want 2, so on and so forth. That ends that. So let's add that function. So we're just going to add it into our task here. So we'll have a public void change index. It's going to take an int number. The number being I plus 1. I don't know why I clicked E. This dot index dot set text is going to be num. Why is set text not working? The method. Oh, okay. Oh, because it's a integer and expects a string, so let's just add this to it. Yeah. And then we want to revalidate, right? Validate. Just to make sure it works. I think repeat probably also works there. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what's what with that. So now let's add task. Nope. Okay, that's not working. Oh, why is that not working? It's not working because I didn't actually call the task. Oh, from app frame, sorry. So when we do this, we add the task to the list and then we call update numbers. Numbers. Yeah. There. Now it should work. Let's find out. So here, if I add a task, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good. So I want to have a quick look at where we are so far on our to-do list. So we've added our classes. That was done pretty quickly. We have constructors for each class. That's done. So now we're working on the functionality. Click to add new task. We have that. We haven't changed the color when we're done yet, so we'll do that next. But we have added our index numbers. So we only have 2 more functions to go, and then we'll look at adding the color at the end. Okay, the next thing we want to work on is adding that changing state functionality, so that when a particular task is done, we click the done button and it changes to green. Right, I want to be able to say it's done and look at it and still have it there without removing it just yet. And then I have the option at the bottom of removing all of the finished tasks when I feel like it. So first things first is let's add that change state function into the task. So we'll have a public void, public void change state. Don't take any arguments, and it's going to set background color green. Okay, I'll also need to change the background color of the task name, because for the same reason I changed it above, I won't be able to see the back through it. Color green. These colors are temporary. I don't worry about the colors to the end. And we're going to change that checked variable to true. Okay, so for this instance, once we click done and change the state, checked as true on this. So when we're looping through it later, when we remove function, we just remove all of the tasks that are checked as true. We want to call that function when we click on the done button. So we need to return that done button so we can use it in the other class. So we'll have a public void get done. No, it won't be void, I'll be returning a J button. Get done is just going to return done. Okay. Now I want to add some listeners to that done button. So the time we're going to do that is when we actually make it. So here, after we update our numbers, yeah, we press the mouse, we make it, we um, add the task to the list, we update the numbers on the list, and then we're going to want to add um, listeners to the done button. So let's get task.done.add mouse listeners. New mouse adapter. Sorry, I need those there. Curly braces. Move this back to here. And this guy. And what's going to be in here is another override. So override public void mouse pressed. So when I click the mouse button, and this needs to be a mouse event. Mouse event A. What I want to happen is for the task to change state. Change state. Oh, change index, change state. Yes, okay, I wasn't sure. And then we can do the list set update. Because if it changes state, no, I don't need to update the numbers after that, right? That's fine, no need for updating numbers. But what I do need to do is revalidate. Revalidate. Okay, so let's check that out now. So we'll run our to-do list here. So what we expect to happen is we should add our tasks. Come to find them. When we click done, they should turn green. There we go. So far, so good. So all we have left now is to add color. So that's the functionality done, and add a color. Now the colors, adding color is pretty straightforward. So I'll probably just do it off screen and then cut to what it's like with the color done. So as you can see here, I've added some color. Again, this is nothing final. I continue to search for a color scheme I like, and I'll add more features like customizing colors for each of the different tasks, maybe, and the option to have additional notes on each task. But for now, this meets my requirements. I can click on them, have them done. I can tell at a glance what needs to be done and what not, and when I'm finished with them, I can remove them from the screen. I'll be uploading daily programming challenges on this channel and fun little projects from time to time like this one. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something from this. And thank you for watching. See you next time.